Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into something that's pretty important to the global financial system,
Yeah,
the SWIFT network.
it's a good one.
I think most people have probably heard of SWIFT, but may not really understand what it is or how it works.
Yeah, and hopefully
And that's exactly what we're going to do today.
that's what we're going to unpack.
Yeah. So we're going to try to do that without getting too bogged down in all the technical details.
Right.
But there are some pretty interesting facts that we've found.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So did you know that SWIFT handles billions?
Billions with a B.
Billions with a B of dollars every single day,
It's a lot of money.
connecting over 11,000 institutions in over 200 countries.
Yeah, it's kind of like the nervous system of global finance.
It is. It really is.
Yeah,
But instead of electrical impulses, it's messages
it's all about messages.
that make money move.
Right. And the interesting thing is that Swish doesn't actually move the money itself. It's more like a super secure messaging system that the banks use to talk to each other.
So not like Venmo,
No.
but way higher stakes.
Much higher stakes.
Yeah. Much higher stakes.
Yeah. And the security is incredible.
And security is super important.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, their data centers are designed to withstand practically anything you can think of, like natural disasters,
Right.
cyber attacks, you name it.
Wow.
They're like the Fort Knox of data.
Yeah.
They're strategically placed around the world, and they have redundancies built in so that
Right.
if one data center goes down, the entire system doesn't skip a beat.
So it can handle pretty much anything.
Pretty much.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and when you're talking about trillions of dollars flowing through the system every day, that level of resilience is crucial.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we've established that it's super secure.
Hmm.
It handles a ton of money. But I think we should take a step back and answer the most basic question. What does SWIFT actually do?
Okay, so Swift is not a bank. It's more like a facilitator or a universal translator for all of these banks around the world.
Like the Rosetta Stone of finance.
Exactly.
Okay.
So imagine trying to send a message to someone who speaks a completely different language, right?
Yeah.
It'd be a mess.
For sure.
Swift provides a standardized format for all of these financial messages.
So everyone's speaking the same language.
Everyone's on the same page.
Got it.
This minimizes errors and just makes global transactions a whole lot smoother.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, who are the players in this ecosystem?
Okay, so let's imagine you're a payment traveling through the Swift network.
Okay.
First, you're going to encounter the participant nodes.
Okay.
These are your banks and other financial institutions.
Makes sense.
Each one has a unique Swift code, kind of like a global address.
Oh, like a financial fingerprint?
Exactly, like a financial fingerprint that identifies them within the network.
Okay, so we've got our players, each with their unique ID. Where do they send their messages?
So next you'd arrive at the central operating centers. These are kind of like the brains of the operation.
Okay.
They process and route all these messages with incredible speed and accuracy.
They make sure your payment message gets to the right place.
They make sure it gets to the right bank in the right country in the right currency.
So how do these messages actually get created and sent? It's not like banks are just typing them up, in an email or something.
No, definitely not. This is where Swift interface software comes into play.
Okay.
It's a specialized tool that banks use to create, format, and encrypt those messages, making sure they meet all of Swift's standards.
So it acts like a translator.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it ensures that everything's seamless between the banks and the Swift network.
Like the composer writing the music for this financial symphony.
I like that analogy.
So the interface software is the composer. We've got our players. Who else is essential to this orchestra?
Okay, so to keep the music flowing smoothly, you have regional processing centers strategically located around the world.
Okay.
They handle regional traffic and help boost efficiency.
Okay, so they're like local conductors.
Yeah, they're making sure everything's running smoothly in their respective regions.
I like it. So we've got our players, the conductor, the composer. Who else?
Don't forget about the market infrastructures. These are
Mhm.
your big players, like central banks.
Right.
They rely on Swift for stability and security for those high-stakes transactions.
So SWIFT is kind of like the glue that holds the global financial system together.
In many ways, yes, it's the foundation for trust and secure communication in the world of international finance.
Okay. And to make sure everyone's following the rules, we have the SWIFT oversight node.
Yeah, you gotta have someone keeping things in check.
They're like the concert hall security,
Exactly.
making sure everyone has a ticket.
They're ensuring compliance and managing risk across the entire system.
Okay, so we've got security conductors, composers, but what language are they even speaking? How are these institutions actually communicating?
Right, so it's not English or any other language you'd recognize.
Right.
Initially, SWIFT used what are called MT messages.
Empty message.
Yeah, these are specific codes that represent different types of transactions.
So,
Think of it like a secret language that only those in the financial world understand.
so like a secret handshake.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you saw MT-103, you'd know that someone's moving some serious cash around.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, each MT code is like a predefined template for a specific type of financial message.
Got it. But like any good composer, Swift has been evolving, right?
That's right. They haven't just stayed static.
What have they done?
They've been transitioning to ISO 2022.
ISO 2022.
Yeah, it's a newer standard that allows for richer data and greater flexibility.
So they're not resting on their laurels.
No, they're embracing the future of finance.
I like that. So what does that look like?
Well, one big part of that is embracing APIs.
APIs.
Yeah, those direct connections that allow for seamless integration with other systems.
Oh, so like different sections of the orchestra being able to talk to each other directly.
Exactly, and it makes the music even more dynamic.
So it's all about staying ahead of the curve.
Exactly, adapting to the ever-changing needs of the global financial system.
It's amazing how a system that started decades ago is still so relevant today.
Well, it speaks to their commitment to innovation.
It's like a symphony that's always being rewritten.
Yeah, constantly adding new instruments and melodies.
Speaking of rewriting, there's another important aspect of Swift we need to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Who has the power to change the music?
Yeah, who are the composers and conductors of this global financial orchestra?
That's what we're going to talk about next.
It's a good one.
This is where it gets really interesting.
It does.
All right, stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
So who calls the shots in Swift world? Is there like a CEO of global finance hiding somewhere?
Well, not exactly. It's more of a collaborative effort, with different groups influencing Swift's direction.
So it's not just one person calling all the shots.
Right, it's not a dictatorship.
Okay, good to know. So who are these groups?
Well, first you have the member banks.
The banks that actually use Swift.
Right, the ones who use it every day to, send and receive payments.
So they have some say in how things run.
Exactly. They have voting rights and can influence Swift's policies.
Kind of like a financial democracy.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So the banks have a say, but it's not a free-for-all, right?
Right. There are also shareholders.
People who have invested in Swift.
Exactly. They provide the capital for Swift to operate and grow.
They have a vested interest in making sure things run smoothly.
Definitely they want to see a return on their investment.
So we've got the banks, the investors, anyone else with a conductor's baton.
Of course, we can't forget about central banks and regulators.
Rule-makers.
Exactly. They're the ones who are always making sure that everyone's playing by the rules.
Making sure that Swift is complying with all the financial regulations.
Exactly. They're like the music critics, making sure the symphony stays harmonious.
Makes sense. You need some oversight when you're dealing with this much money. But what about the everyday person like me? What does Swift mean for someone sending money overseas, say, to a family member?
So for the average person, Swift might seem kind of invisible, but it's working tirelessly behind the scenes to make sure that your money transfer is processed securely and reliably.
It's the reason why I can send money to my family in another country and know that it's going to get there.
Exactly. It's the silent guardian of international payments, making sure that everything flows smoothly across borders.
Okay, so peace of mind for the everyday user.
Exactly.
But Swift is not just keeping up. It's also pushing the boundaries of what's possible in international finance, right?
Right. So we talked about their adoption of ISO 2022 and APIs.
Right.
That's not just about technical upgrades.
It's about future-proofing Swift.
Exactly. It's about getting ready for a world of open banking and real-time payments.
They're constantly innovating to meet the evolving demands of the global financial system.
Right, because the world of finance never stands still.
It's fascinating how a system that started decades ago is still so relevant today.
It really is a testament to their commitment to serving the global financial community.
Making sure that those international transactions remain secure and reliable.
For years to come.
Okay, so we've got this complex system handling crazy amounts of money, connecting the entire world. But what happens if something goes wrong? What if Swift gets disrupted?
That's a really important question.
It's a little unsettling to think about, honestly.
It highlights just how deeply intertwined Swift is with the world economy.
If Swift goes down, the world economy goes down with it.
Well, not necessarily, but any disruption, whether it's from a cyber attack or a natural disaster or, even geopolitical tensions, could have some serious consequences.
We're talking about halting global trade, potentially.
It's a worst-case scenario, but yes, A major SWIFT outage could disrupt international payments, and that could cause delays in all sorts of things.
From supply chains to individual remittances.
Exactly. Could lead to market volatility, economic instability, even political tensions.
So it's not just about money, it's about the interconnectedness of the entire global system.
Precisely. SWIFT is kind of like the invisible thread that weaves together economies across continents.
So understanding its importance goes beyond just finance.
It's about understanding how interconnected our world really is.
Okay, deep breaths. So while we're all hoping for the best, it sounds like Swift has some pretty serious safeguards in place.
Absolutely. They invest heavily in cybersecurity.
Those data centers are Fort Knox level secure.
Right. They're constantly monitoring for threats, implementing robust security measures.
You're not taking any chances.
No, they understand the critical role they play in the global financial system.
Well, that's reassuring.
They're doing everything they can to keep things running smoothly.
This deep dive has really opened my eyes to the power and complexity of Swift.
It's a fascinating system for sure.
It's mind-blowing to think about the scale and the impact this system has on our everyday lives, even if we don't see it directly.
It's one of those things that just quietly works in the background, powering the global economy.
It's a testament to human ingenuity.
Absolutely. Building a system that can handle such complexity with remarkable efficiency.
Well said. So speaking of human ingenuity, let's shift gears for a moment
Okay.
and talk about a topic that's been making waves in the financial world.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Okay, so spill the beans. What's this wave-making topic you mentioned?
We've been talking about SWIFT, right?
It's a centralized system.
Yeah, the bedrock of global finance.
For decades.
For decades. But what if I told you there's a potential disruptor on the horizon?
Okay, now you've got my attention.
A decentralized system.
Ooh.
That some believe could completely revolutionize how we think about money and transactions.
Are we talking about cryptocurrencies?
You got it.
And blockchain.
Cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology.
There's been a lot of buzz around those.
Yeah, and for good reason. They represent a fundamental shift in how we think about financial systems.
Okay.
Instead of relying on a central authority like SWIFT,
Right.
these systems are distributed across a network of computers.
So there's no single point of failure?
Exactly, which makes them potentially more resilient and transparent.
So could cryptocurrencies and blockchain actually replace SWIFT?
That's the million-dollar question.
Are we talking about the end of an era?
It's too early to say for sure, but it's definitely a question worth pondering.
I mean, cryptocurrencies offer some pretty compelling advantages, right?
They do. They offer faster transaction speeds, lower fees.
Right.
Increased accessibility, especially for people who are unbanked or underbanked.
Yeah, that's huge.
So there are a lot of potential benefits.
But what about security?
Yes, sure.
You talked about SWIFT having that Fort Knox level security.
Right.
Can cryptocurrencies compete with that?
That's a valid concern. While blockchain technology itself is inherently secure, the cryptocurrency ecosystem has seen its share of hacks and scams.
Right.
But as the technology matures,
And the regulations evolve.
right, we can see cryptocurrencies becoming even more secure and trustworthy.
So there's a real possibility that cryptocurrencies and blockchain could reshape the financial landscape,
Absolutely.
maybe even challenge SWIFT's dominance.
It's definitely possible.
But it doesn't have to be an either-or situation.
Right. Not necessarily. We could also see a future where SWIFT and blockchain technology coexist,
Okay.
maybe even complementing each other.
So like SWIFT integrating blockchain elements to enhance its own security and efficiency.
Exactly. Or cryptocurrencies leveraging SWIFT's global network for wider adoption.
So maybe not an epic showdown, but a potential collaboration.
Exactly. The future of finance is likely to be a hybrid model, blending the best of both worlds.
That's a much more optimistic outlook.
And that's what makes this such an exciting time to be following these developments.
I'll admit, I was a bit skeptical of cryptocurrencies at first.
Yeah, a lot of people are.
But this deep dive has really opened my eyes to their potential.
It's a whole new world of financial possibilities.
It's kind of exciting and a little bit daunting at the same time.
It is, but that's the beauty of knowledge and exploration. The more we learn, the more we realize how much more there is to discover.
This deep dive has been a perfect example of that.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
I came in knowing a little bit about SWIFT, but now I feel like I've uncovered this whole hidden world.
That's what we aim for with these deep dives.
To give our listeners a deeper understanding of the systems that shape our world.
Exactly.
It's been an incredible journey.
It has been.
A huge thank you to our expert for guiding us through these intricate landscapes of finance.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk about these things.
And to our amazing listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
We hope you learned something new
We hope you gained some valuable insights
and maybe even sparked a new curiosity.
about the global financial system.
We encourage you to keep exploring these topics.
Huh.
Ask questions to dive deeper into this fascinating world.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive into a new topic.
Until then, keep learning, keep exploring.
And, as always, keep those brain cells firing.